welcome back to the Joe Martino Show. Today is the first episode of the 2025 season. I took some time off at the end of last year because, well, to be honest, I was tired. I was dealing with a lot of things personally. I was dealing with a lot of things with my businesses. I was stressed, and it was time to take a break. And so that's what I did. And so I took that time off. And now in 2025, I'm actually getting a little bit more nervous because we are adding video recording to this. We've done video recording that we've turned into short clips before. We've put them on my TikTok page. We have put them on actually various pages, TikTok, YouTube Reels, etc. And then we've taken the entire audio of the podcast and we have put it on YouTube as just an audio podcast. And now we are actually adding to that and we are making it a video podcast. So if you're into video podcasts and you want to watch that, you can. I know that there are some people like, are you crazy? I don't have time to devote that much energy to a video podcast. And I get that. To be honest with you, that would be me. I watch very few podcasts. I don't watch a lot of movies because of that, but I do listen to podcasts. I really like audiobooks, etc. And so along those lines, I feel like I owe you a few updates and we're going to do those first. And then we're going to talk about quitting Friday and what you can do about it. Okay, so here are the updates. One of the things that we're doing is we're adding this as a video podcast. For those of you who are interested in more spiritual, religious things, we're trying to figure out what a video type interaction would look like for Hiding Behind God, or Does God Care About Our Theology, if you're subscribed to that. If not, you can find it on my website, joemartino.com. You can find my YouTube page at YouTube, I am Joe Martino. Substack, I am joemartino.substack.com has my emotionally inclined blog posts. And so we're doing those things. I am finishing up a manuscript called Hiding Behind God. Currently, my future son-in-law is helping me do another edit of it. And we are filling out chapters. One of the things that happens when I write a book is some chapters are well-formed, some chapters are too long, and some chapters are really, really short. And so we have to figure out how we put them together. How do we make that into one cohesive chapter? Maybe add a few of the short ones, maybe lop a little bit off of the overly long ones. How do we make this work? And so that's one of the things that we're working on there. I'm actually trying to produce 3 manuscripts this year. I'm speaking at a men's conference in Nebraska in March. And I have a men's book, a book written for men about the 3 mindsets that we live out of. And I would like to have a manuscript done for that conference, which is it's going to be more of a PDF for me to give to the guys that attend that conference. That's Fight Club Nebraska in Norfolk, not Norfolk, even though it looks like Norfolk on paper. It's Norfolk, Virginia. That'll be in March. My wife and my daughter and I are collaborating to write a book called Raising Emotionally Secure Kids. And what that's going to be is my wife and I are going to write chapters, and then my daughter's going to write the child perspective. As a kid who grew up with these principles happening in our home, she's going to write that perspective out for us, or for you, the reader. We are also working on the audiobook. We continue to work on this. I'm done giving out deadlines or when I hope to have it out to you. I've said that numerous times and I've missed all of them. And so I feel like discretion being the better part of valor here is that I'm just going to tell you they're coming someday soon, I hope. And that day is unknown at this point. It is a process. We're trying to do it without going through some of your major sources so that we can keep the cost down to you and the cost down to us, to be quite honest with you. So those are some big things that are going on. I'm doing a corporate training in February in Texas on how do we develop and execute our belief system and values in the corporate setting. Looking forward to that. Of course, we are planning for a wedding in October and all of the things that go with that. All right, let's talk about quitting Friday. If you haven't heard about this, maybe you've heard the Apple commercial. I guess you'd see it. Seeing the Apple commercial where they talk about quitting Friday. It's typically the Friday known as the day that people quit their New Year's resolution. Quitting Friday is typically the second Friday in January, and it's the day known as the day that most people quit their resolutions. And I've talked about resolutions in the past. I've talked about what makes good goals, what makes bad goals, why do people quit. Actually, over the Christmas break, a friend of mine sent me a Snapchat of her setting up her 2025 journal. A guy in my Saturday morning men's group was talking about how he was setting up his journal, and almost all of the goals that he had for this year were goals that he had for last year because he didn't accomplish them last year. And part of that is we tend to write them down and forget about them. We tend to make bad goals, right? So, I want to lose weight. Well, that's a bad goal. How much weight do you want to lose? By when is a much better goal. If we add the why to it, that's an even better goal. And what we want to talk about today is, by the time this goes up, January is going to be done. I'm not quite sure when we're going to go back, a little bit the week of the 20th or literally the first week of February. And by the time all of that happens, January is done, which means most people's goals, most people's resolutions, they're all done. There is no more of them. They're done even trying for them, and they forgot about them. And at that point, people give up. And so one of the things that I like to talk to people about is, why are you setting the goal that you're setting? And this is really difficult because you have to have a habit of speaking truth to yourself when you ask yourself this question, because many times we lie to ourselves, right? Like, that's just reality. We tend to tell ourselves things that aren't quite the truth because we don't want to wrestle with that truth. We choose comfort over reality sometimes. And this can be because sometimes we worry that people will judge us, right? Like, I had a friend one time who told me, he's like, I want to make $1 million this year. He was a businessman, he was an entrepreneur. He's like, I want to gross $1.5 million and I want to net over $1 million. Like, that's awesome. Good for you. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, sure. Good for you. Like, and he had the structure, he had a good business. And I was like, why are you surprised? Like, why? I don't understand. What are you asking me? And he said to me, well, I mean, a lot of people, they just think I'm being selfish if I say that I want, $1 million. And so, then I throw in a few church things. His work is not mine. Church people don't come for me. I'm like, what are church things? He's like, well, I'll say, well, I want to tithe whatever 10% of $1 million is. I'm a counselor, not a mathematician. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. Like, I mean, that's good too, right? Like, yeah, give money to worthy causes, be generous. So you want to run out the why of what you're doing. Now, here's the thing. If you're like most people and you made resolutions and you stop them, I want you to go back and I want you to grab them and I want you to look at them. And I want you to ask yourself, was this a good goal? Now, good goals all have some consistent characteristics. 1, they are clearly measurable. 2, they're completely under your control. 3, they have an expiration date. Okay. So what I typically say to my clients is, it's something like this. You want to go from X to Y by Z, right? X is where you're at. Y is where you want to go. Z is the timeline that you want to get there. X to Y by Z. Completely in your control and completely measurable. So I want to lose weight, not a good goal, because here, if you just want to lose weight, go to your local drugstore, buy 2 bottles of Mylanta. Well, if they don't have Mylanta, buy 2 bottles of milk of magnesia. In fact, just skip the Mylanta and go to the milk of magnesia. It will be better. Buy 2 bottles, get cherry flavored because the regular flavored of milk of magnesia is gross. Drink the entire bottle. Drink some water because it's going to be gross. Drink the next bottle, then drink some water, and then duct tape yourself to the commode because you're not moving for the next 48 hours. Because you are going to exit your entire system. You're going to need water so you don't get dehydrated. Please don't actually do this. This is not medical advice. You should not actually drink 2 bottles of milk of magnesia. In fact, you shouldn't do anything medically related without the advice of a medical doctor, of which I am not. However, if your goal is just to lose weight, that would work because you would just, defecate for the next 3, 4, 5 days. And then you can check that goal off. There's a goal that you did for 2025. Yeah, you. That's a bad goal. Now, if you want to lose 10 pounds or 15 pounds, a healthy amount of weight, now we're at a better goal. So I am 200 pounds and I want to be 185 by the end of the year. Okay, that's a good goal. And it's even better because we can then break it down. So when we do that X to Y by Z, we can break down the by Z into what are the necessary steps to get there. Well, if I'm going to lose 15 pounds in 12 months, I need to lose just a little bit more than a pound a month. We're getting even better goals now. And if I want to lose this over the next year, that's plenty of time. 12 months, a pound a month. I need to lose about a quarter of a pound a week. That's going to be kind of hard to measure. So I can measure myself once a month. You see what we're doing there is we're working it backwards and filling in the necessary steps to get where we want to go. And that's a beautiful thing. I want to save $1,200. Okay, you need to save $100 a month. $25 a week. You can work that all the way down to what you're doing. And even better, we want to add one more step to this. Okay. So they're completely under your control. They're completely measurable. They have an expiration date. And then we want to add a why. Why are you doing whatever it is you're chasing? Why are you doing it? Why are you going after whatever it is you're chasing? I want to lose 15 pounds because I'll be healthier. Okay, well, what's the benefit of being healthier? Well, I'll be able to play pickup sports with my kids. I'll be able to go on more hikes with my spouse. I'll be able to play with my dog more. I will feel better about myself. Whatever your goal, that's fine, right? But was it a good goal? And once you decide if it wasn't, make it a good goal or get rid of it. And then add the emotional payoff. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you chasing what it is you're chasing? Those make really good goals. And then there's one more thing we need to add to it. You have to be very intentional about monitoring your process, about monitoring your process and progress, right? Are you sticking to the $100 a month? I forget what the goal was. Well, if you're going to save $200 a year, $100 a month. Are you sticking to the goal $25 a week? Or maybe you get paid every 2 weeks. So you're like, I'll put $50 away every 2 weeks. It doesn't matter how you do it. What are you running out? Are you measuring the process and the progress of your process? Okay? Very important, because that helps you stay on track to complete your goal. And as you move forward to completing your goal, it allows you to achieve things. Or maybe you don't, right? Like, it's interesting. Last year is one of the first years in the history of me doing this that I did not write down any goals for the year. I knew the year was going to be very difficult. I knew it was going to be very hard. I knew that there was going to be a lot of things in it. I had some basic goals about podcast and writing. I didn't have a lot of good goals. I didn't have a lot of whys now. So this year I started in January. I started working, what are some possible goals for next year? What are they? Why am I doing them? Because I'm still struggling to find time to get some of these goals going, to get the process of some of these goals going. And when I have that why, it helps. When I get discouraged and I can read that why, it helps. When I get feeling like, man, I don't know if I can keep going, and I have that why, it helps. All right. So hopefully this will help kind of get your year going. If you're already killing it, awesome. Maybe you learned something today that helps you improve your process and progress. Maybe you didn't. But whatever it is, I hope that as you look at this, as your goals move forward, that you find progress and a process that works for you. Let me know what works for you. If this doesn't work and you found something else that does work, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Joe@joemartino.com. Tweet at me, do whatever, X at me, whatever it is. Send me a message. Send me snail mail. I kind of miss letters in snail mail. I do not miss, like, all of the spam mail that we get, whether it's email or in my actual physical mailbox. Can't we do something about that? All right. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you next week.